All right. So we are live on various platforms. We are going live on Instagram. I believe we are here. So happy to be here with everybody. Happy Monday for people in various parts of the world. Happy day of the eclipse. So that's pretty amazing. I'm hoping to be able to check that out a little bit later today. And just want to say to you all, we are really glad that you are here. Whether you are seeing this inside of our online private community, which is Loving Without Boundaries on Facebook, Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy Open Relationships and Lifestyle Freedom. We are excited that you are here and part of our community and getting the help and the support and the guidance that you need. If you are seeing this on any other platform like Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube, know that we have a safe community that you can come join and be a part of, because we really truly care about your well-being. If you are struggling as you are doing your best to color outside of the lines of heteronormative monogamy and be in healthy relationships, we honor you. We know that this is not easy. We know that there are challenges along the way, and we are here with you, alongside of you, championing your journey. So with that, we have a really important topic that my lovely, amazing team member here, B, wanted to talk about, which is understanding your own personal needs, what we consider consensual non-monogamy essentials for healthy relationships, and certainly important for any relationships. Here, we're going to look at it through the lens of consensual non-monogamy and polyamory, because that's what we're all about here at Loving Without Boundaries. So with that, I'm going to give the mic over to you, B, to get us started off. And I think this is a really important topic, so thank you for bringing it up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kirian. I 100% agree with you. We totally champion you. We see that this is not an easy lifestyle, and there are so many elements that needs to be considered in order to have longevity and fulfillment. And one of those aspects is understanding our needs in the human condition that helps us connect with other people as well. So why this topic is so important? Because what I noticed with working really amazing, courageous people is that this can often be overlooked. There's no shaming and blaming here. The lack of understanding in needs can stem from many sources. For example, society, conditioning, childhood conditioning, or societal conditioning doesn't always support us in understanding our needs and speaking for our needs. And also there can be a fear of vulnerability as well, that what might happen if I speak for my needs. So gaining applicable, practical understanding of our needs is fundamental if we want to, first of all, meet our needs, and if we want to meet our needs in constructive ways that propel us forward, that are in alignment with our emotional and physical well-being. So I already spoke about it, that there's some lack of awareness that sometimes contributes to the problem, that we don't understand our needs. And what I most often notice is someone either doesn't know what needs are, specifically what we consider to be needs, how to identify them, because the skill set is lacking, because we're not really taught to identify our needs. There can be someone's afraid of their needs, or afraid of other people's needs, or afraid to communicate them. And one really sad case that I encountered is that someone in a toxic relationship explicitly denied that I don't have any needs. So there can be many contributing factors why we are blocked to get in touch with our needs. And I also want to approach it from a different angle. I'm curious if any of you can identify these particular underlying beliefs and barriers. For example, my needs don't matter. Expressing my needs won't lead to any good. I'd be punished, I'd be judged, criticized, rejected, or abandoned. I don't have the power. I don't feel powerful enough to express my needs, and why bother? I just can't get my needs met, or I don't deserve for my needs to be met. So these are some tragic expressions when we need the skill set, and when we need to work through some conditioning in order to really gain an understanding of our needs and create a different connection with ourselves and with our partners as well. And I want to hand the mic back to you, Kiri.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for getting us started, B. That was really incredibly beautiful the way you started to explain how we can have a lack of awareness of our needs or even what they are, and that there can be some barriers, whether those are some disempowering belief systems that are holding us back. And what I would add here is this is very interesting. I literally was just on a call recently with someone who is working to move away from codependent behaviors and away from those kind of toxic and dysfunctional ways that we can show up in our relationships. But what was ironic is the way they were discussing that, the way they were attempting to move away from their codependency, they were actually abandoning their own needs. And they thought that was a way towards being in a healthy dynamic. But we were having a discussion, so that I was explaining to them that if we, like you were suggesting, B, if we suppress our needs, if we pretend they don't exist, it's almost like a beach ball that you're trying to put down in a pool. The beach ball will just keep popping back up again, like, hey, I'm here, you need to pay attention to me. So one way I discuss being in a codependent toxic relationship is when there is like harm or damage that is happening to each other, yet no one is available, no one will leave the relationship, or no one will they won't work together as a team towards healthy dynamics. And this can show up with our needs. If one person is saying, my needs aren't important, I don't have any needs, or I'm going to throw my needs and values out the window while I, lay down, and, your needs are most important and your values are most important, like that is a codependent toxic dynamic. And it's really important to be able to recognize that abandoning yourself is when we are putting ourselves in that kind of victim mentality or victim mindset, but we're doing it to ourselves. And what's so empowering is that we can learn to stop that, because you're in charge of you, and that's just a great thing to remember. So I'll just wanted to put that there, B, but I'll give the baton back to you.
Yeah, that's super important that you brought up codependency and toxic dynamics. And the other end of the spectrum to abandoning our certain needs of ours and suppressing is that when we, for some reason, and that can come from conditioning, like societal conditioning and lack of skill set, when we put all our needs or most of our needs for our partners to meet. So I'm making it your responsibility to meet your needs. Now, what this does is, similarly to me abandoning my needs, is similarly taking me away from my agency, from my power. And also it puts us, takes us away from teamwork. It puts us into the field of battle, because now I have an expectation of you to be in a certain way. And because you're not in a certain way, then you're going to be behind enemy lines for me. So that's definitely gonna create tension, where we see the differences in ourselves versus connecting in the human condition with each other. And what else can happen, and that ties back to what you shared, Kiri, about abandoning our needs or putting our needs outside of ourselves slowly, for example, on a partners to meet, is that our sense of identity can become blurred, because we don't know our needs. We don't really know who we are. It's really difficult to say, where do I end and where the other person is going to begin. And when someone starts working on a need, and this is another phenomenon that I observe, who either abandon themselves or put meeting their needs outside of themselves, is that they're going to really struggle at the very beginning to identify their needs, their values, because they get this blurred sense of identity, like, I don't really know who I am, because I'm only considered myself so far in terms of my relationship, and I lost myself in the process, which can also be another definition of codependency. So it's really important to start looking into ourselves and addressing how can we take our power back, so we can move into the field of understanding and teamwork with each other.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that topic up. And I love how you said that we can get on the field of battle with each other, and how you said putting the other behind enemy lines. Gosh, I love that because I don't know about you, but I mean, I even feel that in some of my friendships. You know, I feel like I've been kind of like placed right behind enemy lines. And again, at the end of the day, we can only control ourselves, you know, our own belief systems, our own behaviors, our own thought patterns, and even our feelings. We, of course, can manage our own feelings, and we can learn skills to move up the emotional guidance scale, we call it, towards gratitude and love and even forgiveness, right? And away from anger and apathy and even depression with the right guidance and with the right tools. That is absolutely possible. But we cannot change other people. However, we can learn to empower ourselves with our communication, with our skill set. That is all absolutely possible. And one thing I thought I would share here is just to very briefly go over a couple concepts that, of course, you are very familiar with, B, but for the benefit of our listeners, which is that our needs are all life affirming, positive, and beautiful. And our needs are not in conflict, even though sometimes we might think our needs are in conflict with other people in our lives, especially when we're talking about multiple relationships, because that can be different in different relationships too. But our strategies to get those needs met can be in conflict, and it can really be a crisis of an imagination if we're not able to work together as a team, as B was saying, and figure out, you know, how do we get on what we call the field of understanding, of non-judgment. Because if we are judging and criticizing the other person, as B was implying, it can be a tragic expression of our needs. It's tragic because we're unlikely to get our needs met because we're creating a different competing need in the other person. If they then become defensive because they feel they have to protect themselves because they're feeling attacked by your words, if you are judging and criticizing them. And just to very quickly go over some of the 6 basic needs that are, this is generally from Tony Robbins' teachings. First is love and connection. We all get that. We want to have that sense of family and love and connection. We also can have a need for significance, which means it's the kind of like the flip side of the coin, which is feeling unique and special, and like you're adding something that is just your own, you know, to a relationship. Then there is a need for certainty, which can also be expressed as a need for safety and security. We all want that as well, of course. And then on the flip side of that is uncertainty. But what that really means, because that can be confusing, is the need for variety, for fun, for adventure. And of course, that can show up in consensual non monogamy and polyamory. Once those needs are met, what's above that is the needs for growth, personal growth and education, which that's certainly a strong need for B and I and people that we love to work with, we tend to work with. And then lastly, the need for contribution, to really give something of yourself in a lasting way to the world. Again, once those other needs are met. So that's partly why I created the Loving Without Boundaries mission, why I have the podcast that we have here, is to contribute something to the world in a positive way, to leave the world a better place. So I just want to give that context for anybody who hasn't really heard that before. And I'll give the mic back over to you, B, to take it from there.
I like to stack on what you just shared, Kiri, about the basic human needs and what we consider to be needs, because there can be a confusion as well between needs and strategies really often. And what it leads to is we're not going to get the needs met, as you already mentioned, Kiri. And the other thing is that we might come up with destructive strategies if we don't know the underlying beautiful need. For example, if I say that I need a drink, I need space in the relationship, those are strategies, those are not needs. Or to me, I need fun. Fun is a really important part of my life. And it took me some time and lots of work to unpack that it is a strategy for me to resource safety, to have fun in certain aspects of my life. And it might not be apparent for first when I mentioned that I need fun. And I also want to mention A personal example, I don't know how many of you can relate to this particular thing, and if you heard about that, NRE, new relationship energy addiction. I often talk about that. I struggled with this for many, many years, and I jumped from one relationship to the next. After the initial high faded off and things started to get close, I disappeared, basically changed my phone number. So yeah, it was a really difficult part of my life. I experienced those beautiful highs, and yes, it was amazing in many ways. At the same time, I felt deeply sad inside because I wanted to connect as well. It took me a lot of work to unpack that my need was for connection. I wanted to connect, and I also had the need for safety. With me staying stuck in the NRE phase of the relationship and not going deeper, that had me feel safe because I didn't have to be more vulnerable. The
Mm,
issue with this was that the underlying beliefs, some of the underlying beliefs that I unpacked, that my needs don't matter. NRE is the best thing that I can have in a particular relationship. If someone found out who I was, they would leave me, abandon me, reject me. So this fueled this particular addiction. And the underlying needs, beautiful needs, as you mentioned, Katie, connection and safety. Another tragic thing that you also talked about, Kitty, is the judgment, because I was stuck in the NRE addiction phase. I created judgments as well, like no one would want to meet my need and I can't trust anyone. Now, what this
mm,
does, if we're not in touch with the beautiful life affirming need underneath that, it's that we can end up running our worldview through judgments, taking us away from the needs and from the constructive strategies. We can end up creating stories, disempowering stories in our head. I'm not saying that there's no proof to this, but it can be really destructive if we see life through this lens, like no one can be trusted. People always let me down. Everyone always lets me down. And when we trace it back, when we know the right skill set, when we can ask the right questions, then we can trace it back to beautiful life affirming needs such as significance, connection, safety, variety. And we run a much better chance to find constructive strategies that create fulfillment in us.
mm. Thank you for that. That was all beautifully said. I captured some of that in our comments, and I really appreciate you bringing this up. So we want to make sure that when we have these, we are giving you some great things to think about, some little educational tidbits. At the end of the day, we also don't want it to be all doom and gloom. So we know that you may be seeking some help, and just know that there is hope for you to get clarity around your needs. There are lots of different ways to do that, whether it's doing your own research, whether that's working with a coach or a mentor, and you absolutely can get effective communication skills at an advanced level. Because when we are dealing with consensual non-monogamy and polyamory, a lot of times people think they have good communication skills, and you very well may have good communication skills. Yet when we are talking about the tricky, complex world of polyamory and consensual non-monogamy, we need advanced communication skills. And sometimes you need somebody to guide you and hold your hand to learn what those are and to condition it and put it into practice. And you can also learn the difference between needs that you can meet on your own, or autonomous needs, versus relational needs where you need somebody else. Like, for example, trust, that value and need of trust. You can trust yourself, but also the relational part of that is having trust in other people. As B mentioned, like, she got to a place where she didn't trust other people in her relationships, and we've all been there. And if we've been hurt, and we might be really afraid to put ourselves back out there. So so those are some things to think about. And I'll talk about in a minute how you would, if you are looking for any additional help, what you could do. But I want to give the mic over to you, B, in case you just wanted to add anything there.
Yeah, to add on what you just shared, Kiri, another beautiful benefit that we can get from doing the work on our needs and the communication, how to communicate them with our partners or basically anyone in our lives, is that the core image that we hold of ourselves and other people is very likely to shift in really powerful, empowering ways. For example, instead of me judging my need or judging the other person's need or criticizing myself to the point of shame or guilt, I can step into those identities that I'm someone who finds solutions. I can be proud of myself for having this particular conversation. I can learn and evolve. If needed, I can reach out to support. I'm resilient. So this if we do some work, that starts automatically changing how we see ourselves, and that can be a really, really massive benefit, and that will help us connect with other people in a different way, because we start to see them through the lens of needs as well, that they have needs, they're trying to get their needs met similarly to how I'm trying to get my needs met in this very complex human condition.
Mhm. I love that you shared that, B. It's just that's also how we can step into compersion, is realizing that the other person also has feelings and needs and fears and desires and wants that can humanize them and remind us that we're all human beings here. We all want to get our needs met, and everything that we're doing is simply an effort or a strategy to get our needs met. So that's part of that shared human experience. So if what we're saying is resonating with you, if you're realizing that you would like to take a deeper dive, work with an expert coach who really has your best interests in mind, and you want to have a conversation about what that would look like, I invite you to go to this link. It's lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. That will take you into my calendar. This is exactly what B did over 3 years ago today, which is the first time that we got to meet each other. And both of our lives are better because of it, as we got to build something really amazing here with our mission at Loving Without Boundaries, which is to help people live their most authentic lives, free from shame and guilt, from jealousy and insecurity, and the pain of ongoing infidelity or past betrayals. Know that they can heal themselves within the context of open relationships and in a sex positive way, so that they fall back in love with themselves and feel unstoppable. That's what our mission is, and that's what we are here to help people with. And it is our great honor and privilege to help courageous and brave people like yourselves, because we all know that it takes that courage and strength to be coloring outside the lines of heteronormative monogamy. So if that is you, if you are struggling, if you are committed to your well-being, your emotional, mental, and physical well-being, and the well-being of your most cherished relationships, and you are ready to invest the time and energy involved to create positive change in your life, then I invite you to go to this link at lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. That simply takes you into my calendar. You just choose a time that works for you. There'll be a very, very brief form for you to fill out that helps give me some context for our conversation so I can get to know you. And on that call, we'll hit the ground running. We'll find out what's alive for you right now, and more importantly, where you would ideally like to be. And if I feel that I can help you, we'll talk about a game plan to do that. And if it's not the right time or we're not the right fit, I will let you know that as well. And I will do my level best to steer you in the best direction for you. So it's a win-win across the board, no matter what. And it'll be a very good use of your time. And I also just love meeting new people and talking to people who are a part of our broader Loving Without Boundaries community and mission. So if that's you, I'm happy to talk to you, and just wish you all the best on your journey. Know that you are not alone. We are here. We are not going anywhere. So again, feel free to join our private community at Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy Open Relationships on Facebook. You also can go to our website or listen to our podcast, Loving Without Boundaries, and join our mailing list and get our newsletter so you can see all the awesome things that we have going on. We're even going to be starting local live events here in the Washington, D.C. area, with the future goal of having annual retreats for some of our most cherished clients. So with that, anything B you'd like to share?
I want to highlight those two words, Kitty, that you shared, unstoppable and falling in love with yourself. So I want to leave everyone with a sense of hope that indeed with the right set of skills, beautiful transformation is possible so that we can create our life experience and our relationships from the inside, what's in alignment. And I would love to leave you with an empowering question like, how would it feel for you to feel unstoppable and to fall in love with yourself, in case this is applicable and in case this is something that you like to have and you don't yet have, and possibly think about what needs to happen, what steps do you need to take to really step into that I'm unstoppable and I love myself and I love my life.
Great way to end us be that. I love leaving everyone with an empowering question and a really beautiful one at that. So thank you for that, B, and thank you for your time and bringing this important topic here to our lovely community and people who maybe aren't part of our community yet, but are potentially looking for support and looking for help. Know that we are here. We truly care about your well-being. We are doing everything we can to make the world a safer place for people who are coloring outside of the lines of heteronormative monogamy, and give them all the tools and the support and the guidance to do that. That is our mission, and what we are so excited to be here to do alongside all of you. So with that, till next time, we will talk to you soon, and we hope you are having a great week and a great day.